are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 184 of the College Loop Podcast. I am Dylan Larck at your boy Tang on Twitter. And of course, joining Mr. Harrison Tarr. Tarr, how you doing, buddy?
Good, except for I think it's 185.
Is it 185?
I named the room wrong. I think it's 185, my friend. But I'm doing well.
Did you just Ron Burgundy me?
I think I absolutely did. But I am doing well. I do believe it's 185. I typed 184 and it was too lazy to change the name of the room. This is not Dylan's fault. This is on me.
You stay classy, San Diego.
That's right. You, San Diego. Anyways, I digress. Yeah, I'm doing really, really well. Been a brutal weekend in sports for Auburn fans. Been a brutal spring. Let's just be honest. I don't like this season. Really not. It's actually just been a pretty horrifically bad athletics year.
Outside of a couple of sports.
Yeah, I mean, in large, except for we're going to talk about equestrian, who they are on building a dynasty, or not building a dynasty. They're in the middle of a dynasty that I don't think will ever be repeated at Auburn in anything. Just to be completely candid, nothing short of fantastic and tremendous for Auburn equestrian. 6 straight SEC championships, and we'll touch base on that here in just a second. Give the flowers where those flowers are due. But happy A-Day week to those who celebrate. It is right around the corner as we are releasing the show on Tuesday. Just let's see, 4 more sleeps. 4 more sleeps
from Tuesday.
From when the show comes out, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 4 more sleeps.
Yeah,
4 more sleeps until you get to see something that resembles football at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And look, it's an exciting time. People hate A-Day. I am people in terms of watching the actual play on the field. But dang, it feels good to be back at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
I'm not people.
And if it's great weather, which is knock on wood, supposed to be this weekend. We're supposed to be like low 70s, hanging out. I'll probably get a sunburn. I'm really, really looking forward to just being outside, being back on the plains, and it's a great excuse to reconnect with us nowadays. Dylan, going back and reconnect with college friends, and just be able to hang out and then go watch some baseball, knock down a couple of adult beverages, and make sure you hit up. For me, a must when I go back to Auburn. I miss the food. That's something I miss, like, actually tremendously. Oh, yeah. I miss going to my routine eating establishments. I'm not a creature of habit that much, but there's some places that are banging. Shout out Veggies to Go,
Taco Mama,
Sheila C's, Moe's Barbecue. We don't have that in Georgia. The list goes on and on. But really, really excited. Really excited to be back on the plains, getting to catch up with you, Dylan, getting to catch up with some other buddies from college. And that's really what it's about, is enjoying the camaraderie of the Auburn family and getting to watch a little bit of football. So we'll talk on that, and we'll go and jump right into it, Dylan, about what Auburn fans want to see from A-Day. We're going to go with 2 wants and 2 needs each, and then we'll round it out with a player that you were watching quite intently. We'll try. We discussed beforehand, so I think a lot of our answers are going to be different this time. I know we're bad about that. We sometimes rotate out sharing one brain cell. So that sometimes happens. So before we jump into that, I want to make sure I'm going to do this early, Dylan, see if this changes anything. Make sure everybody, if you're watching on the YouTube stream, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and go ahead and make sure you're subbed to the channel. Drop a comment, give us your feedback, who you guys want to see a big spring game out of. What are your 2 wants? What are your 2 needs? Follow the format we're about to pitch. If you're listening on a streaming platform, 5 stars, thumbs up, share the show with a friend. Just try and get it at the beginning of the show here, Dylan. Just plugging it really, really quick, see if that helps analytics at all. You never know until you plug and play. I am a marketer at heart. All right, Dylan. We'll start with your first. You want to start with? You want to go want, need, or want, need? What do you think?
We can do want, need. Like, you kind of.
That was what I meant. Yes. So
yeah.
We'll start with your first want.
So what I want from this A-Day is kind of a split dichotomy from what we got during last year's A-Day. I would love to see some offensive points scored. I know last year it was rainy and we were all more excited about the fact that Frank Thomas got a statue, which is an awesome statue, and I got an awesome jersey because of that event. But you got to start unloading how good this offense can be. I mean, A-Day, you're not going to be playing the best defense in the world. You're playing 2-hand touch on the quarterback. You can't touch the quarterback really once it passes the line of scrimmage. Because if you do, it's basically a unsportsmanlike conduct or whatever. It is time to see some semblance of competency on the offense, and I say that like it's a need, but I'm wanting it. I'm wanting it for right now because I think my other two needs are more prevalent in my life. Yeah.
On the offensive side of the ball, my want, and this is not a need, but my want is really boring and probably the adverse of what a lot of people want. It's going to be kind of a little bit contradictory to what you just said, but I want to see some kind of commitment to run or RPO looks, specifically in the run game. I know that you want to be able to see Payton Thorne bring the ball down, and you want to be able to see him make his reads and check downs. But I really want to see a commitment to using the stable of running backs. Look, we're not going to see what the playbook looks like on Saturday. I'm not naive to that, but there's some young men, Jeremiah Cobb, that I'd really like to see touch the football and see some of the cool things that they're capable of doing, and just show that there's been progression. That these guys are moving laterally a little bit quicker, that they're reading their hole a little bit better, that they're able to navigate the backfield and find ways to break through a little bit better. I'm looking at that top to bottom, from Jarquez Hunter to Sean Jackson. I'm obsessed with old school hard nosed football. You know that about me, Dylan, and I want to see progression in the running back room. I'm not asking for that. I understand that everything's scripted. And ultimately, that this is really it is a practice. It's a glorified practice, but I would like to see progression with my own eyes. I can read all I want. I can listen to other podcasts all I want. I know there's some podcasts out there that are milking this 8A content. Been there, tried that. Hope the analytics are working better for you than it did for us because people really don't care. I'm throwing shade right now, Dylan. I'm sorry, but and that's not throwing shade at the rest of the war report. I would like to put that out there. Those guys do tremendous content. Just I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, but I'm excited. I love seeing running backs, specifically when they slim down and sculpt their bodies to a point where they're more athletic and able to do some really freakish stuff on the field.
Yeah, and you mentioned a little bit of what my second want's going to be because you said the trigger word, Payton Thorne.
I said the P word.
You said
the Payton Thorne word.
You said the PT word. Auburn fans, it is time. I know I am the Robbie Ashford fan. I am the Robbie Ashford president.
Known Gamecock legend.
Yes, known legend of the South Carolina Gamecocks, who probably won't even start this year. Got to be real, because Lenora Sellers has a lot of potential, and Shane Beamer, not known for his outstanding coaching decisions thus far.
But he makes cool TikToks.
But he's a great TikToker. He's gonna be an awesome TikTok celebrity in the future, wherever he goes to next after this year. But it's time, Auburn fans. Last year was last year. There's not a better quarterback on this roster as we know of right now. I mean, you have a couple guys who have potential in Walker White, but Payton Thorne's already beaten out. Looks like he's already beaten out Holden Garner. And, of course, Hank Brown. And Walker White is, of course, a true freshman who isn't going to get that playing time because we all have horror stories of watching true freshmen just jump in on the saddle right away, and then they get thrown off very quickly. It's time for Auburn fans to look themselves in the mirror and get behind Payton Thorne. He is quarterback one this year. And if something goes awry and he gets benched, okay, cool. But it's time to stop the toxicity because there have been a lot of Auburn fans that have been very toxic about a lot of players just that wear an Auburn jersey, no matter who it is. Like the Chad Beckman-Mazzara hate was wild because people were just hating him for all that. But it is time. I understand it. He didn't have a great year last year. He was at points didn't look the best quarterback on the roster, but at some points he was the best quarterback on the roster. And most of the year he was actually the best quarterback that Auburn saw on the field. It is time for Auburn fans to stop the hate and get behind Payton Thorne for the 2024 season. Because after this year, it's Walker time.
It is. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Dylan. I was going to let you cook. I didn't know how long you wanted to go on that train. Guys, we're going to have a whole lot more fun if everybody just gets behind the guy. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotions, and Auburn's not going to win all the football games you want them to win this year.
Don't expect 11. Don't expect 10. Don't expect 9. Be happy with 8.
Yeah.
Look, okay with that.
That's where you're at right now as a program. And I spoke with a friend of the program not long ago who told me, quote, Football's in the gutter. Can't wait to see you in September. Just kind of take what Auburn gives you this year. And I think that was a critical mistake that a lot of Auburn fans made. And this is not me saying that Brian Harsin should have been let longer than he was. His leash was already too long. But I think that we got divided as a community pretty quickly with the Brian Harsin blunder, which it was a blunder. And I'm 100% on the side that Auburn made the right decision to move on. But we got miserable and insufferable, and we got divided. Auburn's a hell of a lot more fun when the Auburn family is the Auburn family. This is the best fan base in sports. I really don't care what anybody says. Auburn fans have been through it together. Look no further than spring, and everyone's still optimistic and excited to be back on the plains in September, come Labor Day weekend. Myself included. I'm very excited for that weekend. I'm also going to the Tour Championship. Not that you guys cared, but I had to throw that one out there. Yeah, I'm with you. Get behind the guy, and you know what? It's more fun to be optimistic, and it's more fun to be supportive. It does lead, I think, to more disappointment. I think it hurts a little more when you're optimistic, but it's more fun in the moment to be optimistic, and you regret less. I think if you look back and said, I was positive all season, and I endorsed and backed up this group of young men that went to war for Auburn every single game. I think you feel better than you do if you're pessimistic and kind of beating up on them all year, and you're like, well, they never were going to live up to my standard. It's just not fair to anybody, yourself included, to be honest with you. So I think that's a good message here. Mine's a little less philosophical, and I know I'm going to sound like I'm hounding on the offense here. This can play on the defensive side of the ball here too, Dylan. Whatever rhythm can look like in a spring scrimmage is what I want to see. Let's just be real, Dylan. It comes in spurts, and football, not dissimilar to basketball in this regard, is kind of a game of rhythm and having some kind of tempo. And I'm not talking about the pace of what you play, but I guess that's another golfism for me. But having a consistent tempo where even if things are not going your way every single time, you're confident enough that you can bounce back on the next snap, on the next possession. I need to see whatever that looks like on Saturday, because I feel like we haven't seen that from an Auburn team on a consistent basis in a long time. Look, we just mentioned, Dylan, Auburn's not winning 10 games this year. That's not happening. And that's just kind of the reality of things. But if they can find a way to stay level and not let the highs get too high, not let the lows get too low, and stay in a consistent rhythm, they'll find themselves in a hell of a lot more ball games. And they may that's the recipe to messing around and winning one. If you're riding these roller coasters of up and downs, which Auburn did a lot last year, momentum wise, riding the ups and the downs and the hots and the colds, you find yourself either really playing great football or playing disastrously bad football. And the teams that can operate in that middle ground and will find themselves in position to succeed at a higher level. That's what I'm looking for. That is philosophical a little bit, but does that make sense, Dylan? I just want to see something that resembles rhythm.
You need to see a team play like a team, because, again, this is not an SEC championship team. This is not going to be this is going to be your stereotypical Duke's Mayo Bowl, potential another trip to Nashville, maybe a trip to Tampa kind of team. Don't settle for 5, but be okay with 6 or 7, and be elated with 8. So.
And here's the reality: if you can find ways without having to gaslight yourself, which, let's be honest, after year 1 of Brian Harsin, we were having to gaslight ourselves. But if you can find ways at the end of this year to really look and say, wow, this team got better, then that this is a success, because that means that there's buy-in. That means that there's a culture change. And that's what you tangibly need. Now, we can look year 3, we can go into the microscope. We can start focusing in the microscope and start nitpicking. But year 2, we collaboratively, I'm just putting these parameters out even before the spring game, so we're all operating in the same headspace for when we inevitably witness Auburn play really close in a game that they shouldn't and almost win and lose in dramatic fashion. Just remember that if you can see...
That's never happened before. What are you talking about?
Auburn doesn't play in normal games. You can't even say it with a straight face. They don't play in normal games when they're good. But that way you can say even keel.
Yeah, especially with the fact that... So it's I think it's a Josh Pate thing. I think year 1 is your mulligan year. Year 2 is like, all right, start showing signs of improvement and competitiveness. And year 3, you got to start like results need to be seen at least a little bit.
Sorry for the eye
But
roll, but
what?
nothing. Go on.
Now to go on to the needs.
Not to you. Not to you.
But to go on to the needs, my first one is competent offensive line play. Mine are going to be 2 position groups. I'm going to talk about the other one in a second. But Auburn made some moves for the offensive line. Percy Lewis was a huge pickup. He got an all SEC caliber offensive tackle. You're bringing back a lot of players that needed to develop another year, like Dylan Wade. You got Jeremiah Wright that hopefully can stay healthy. And of course, cannot forget you have probably the best center in the country right now. You look at the offensive line as a whole, and you have to really, really want to see a competent offensive line. You got to see communication. You need to see movement. You need to see Jalen McLeod is really good. Kodrick Falk is really good. Jason Jones is really good. Trill Carter is really good. I do not want to see them in the backfield. And that's not, and I know it might look bad on the defensive line, but if you're stopping Jalen McLeod from grazing his like right index finger on Payton Thorne's shoulder pad, and which would be a sack in 8A, that's a win. So I just need to see a veteran group of offensive linemen look like a veteran group of offensive linemen, because Auburn, not the best track record of offensive lines. I don't think there's been a good one since 2017. And I would even argue there's not been an average one since 2017. It's been bad. So it's time to start seeing that step up. And that's why, I mean, Hugh Freeze was a great hire because of the fact that he loves to recruit those big-time offensive linemen. Ole Miss had a lot of those during his time at Ole Miss. So start showing signs of that.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it there, Dylan. That's imperative. Let me tell you something else the people need. the people need. I'm going to quote something we said right before. We're going to make a little TikTok reference here. Special players, special teams, special plays. Okay. Tuesday, brother. Anyways, I had to throw that one in there. But no, special teams for the culture. People need to see clean kick returns in whatever capacity that looks like. Obviously, there's not going to be live kick returns. Catch the ball. the people need to see fundamentals in whatever special teams drills you decide to run up, whatever that looks like. They don't want to see a mistake, because there is a certain game that I'm not even going to bring back to the memory last year that you could pinpoint and say, wow, what is Auburn doing at practice? Because this is inexcusable. And muff punts last year, Dylan. I don't even want to look at the numbers. Neither do I.
No, that's not a bad. No.
Yeah, it's better for the mental health if you don't. That just for the culture, Auburn needs to have a solid showing in special teams, brother.
Honestly, I am not opposed to putting Brian Battie back there for kick return just to see if he can fair catch it.
Yeah,
or take the knee, or just
Brian Battie needs a simulated kickoff in the end zone, and Jordan-Hare Stadium erupts.
It'd be better. It'd be the best thing that happened in that game if he would just. There were so many times last year, I was just like, why are you running it out? Why are you doing that? Because I think there were so many times. I think there was so many times where it was like they weren't like unified in what they knew. It's like the blockers would like know that the ball was like too far back, so they wouldn't like block, because he's gonna fair catch it. He's gonna take a knee, and then he'd ran it out, and then he'd get like rocked at the 15-yard line or whatever.
Newsflash: there's a gunner.
Yeah, there's a guy who's running the fastest he possibly can, like the Olympic track athlete who walked on, who's wanting to make a highlight hit on you, and then shellacks you at the 15-yard line. And the Auburn offense was not good enough to go 85 yards. So
sometimes not even 8 or 5 yards.
Exactly. And 3 downs.
Yeah, I know. That's what I meant.
My second need is, of course, unity in the secondary. I'm talking about 2 position groups that Auburn fans are going to be very high on going into the year. The secondary made a lot of moves. Keontae Scott moved to the outside. DJ James, Nehemiah Pritchett, Jalen Simpson, Dion Puckett are all moving off to the NFL. Kyan Lee is now going to be a cornerback 2. You have a transfer in Jaron Thompson as playing as your safety. You're going to have Laquan Robinson playing your strong safety, and you're going to have a new guy playing at the star position because Donovan Kaufman is gone. So you're going to be looking at a Caleb Wooden, or you're going to be looking at Austin Osbury and JD Rim both shipped off during that first transfer cycle. So you got a lot of new faces and new places, and you're going to have to see how that communication works out. I already know it's going to be hard for a couple of those guys because Tarr, I'm not going to spoil who you're most excited to watch, but I've heard some things about that player that he's really good as a true freshman, and it's going to be hard for any kind of defensive player to cover him. But it's going to be very interesting to see how they play out because this is a new look secondary because Keontae Scott's outside, Kai and Lee starting, and you got two guys playing safety that they're in their first year in an Auburn uniform.
It's going to be important, and with the way that the things we've heard about this receiving group that we'll talk about here in a minute, it sounds like you should have your hands full on Saturday. Well. But at the same time, it's a spring game, so you really don't know what you're going to get. But I'm with you. You need to see what's the word I'm looking for? Some gel in that secondary and some help. And by that, I mean rotational depth, being able to step up and not being a huge amount of drop-off, things that great teams do. You need to try to be an okay team that's doing that well. That's really, I think you nailed that one, Dylan. For me, on the defensive side of the ball, something I need to see. Linebackers. Eugene Asante's he's a dog. He's going to make himself a lot more money this year. I really thought that he would not be an Auburn Tiger again in 2024. Not complaining, not saying, not angry about it at all. But it's him and Austin Keys. No.
Yep.
Show me some depth. Show me some consistency. Show me that they don't have to do it all by themselves. They're going to take care of the bulk of the weight there. But I need to see this linebacking core really step up because last year there's a lot to be desired. And that was a group that we were like kind of excited about going into 2023. And now going into 2024, I think that 2023 tarnished that so hardcore for me that I'm just apprehensive. And maybe that's just a short memory for me. But I am cautiously optimistic about the year that Eugene Asante can have with the given need. This is a need that neither of us have addressed, but this is just a given that everybody stays healthy. That's a given, right?
Yeah.
Don't get hurt in a spring game. I will lose my marbles. I will go on live air and lose my marbles. But I digress. I need to see something special out of this linebacking group that does not involve taking any offensive player's head off. I just need to see fundamental and sound football that fits into this defensive scheme. And I don't think that's too much to ask.
I mean, I don't believe it is, because you look at the linebacker room from last year, and you had Larry Nixon III, who was I would honestly say that Larry Nixon III may have been misused, but also maybe was not ready to make the transition from what is the CUSA where North Texas is the Mean Green. Yeah, I don't think he was ready for that jump quite yet. And we saw that from Jair Shorter as well, who, of course, did average 10 yards a catch during his time as an Auburn Tiger, but that was a small sample size of one catch that he made. I think against Mercer. So take that with as you will. But this linebacker room, Larry Nixon III, you had Austin Keys, who was out for half of the year. Eugene Asante emerged. You had Wesley Steiner, who I have a lot of opinions on his ability to play. Cam Riley, it just wasn't a good linebacker room at first. And then you had the emergence of Eugene Asante, and you're like, oh, Auburn's got a dude.
Yep, there's a dude.
And Austin Keys, whenever he got healthy, you go, okay, this is a competent linebacker room.
Right. But
they can't play 4 downs of every single drive, every single time that the defense gets on the field because the offense isn't. The offense was a perennial 3-and-out team last year.
They were 3-and-out merchants, if you will.
And at some point, Wesley Steiner and Cam Riley got to come in and cover the middle of the field. Well, here's the problem with that: they can't. And now you got that linebacker depth, which kind of leads me into the fact that they picked up Dorian Mousey, big pickup, got a lot of guys, true freshman wise, who I am very excited to watch. One of those guys being Joseph Phillips, another one of those guys being DJ Barber. And I'm going to say how we put the non-quarterback, because I would have probably said Walker White in this instance, because I'm just so excited for the future with Walker White. But the non-quarterback that I'm most excited to watch play on Saturday is, of course, and if you've heard me enough talk about this player, you know who I'm going to say. It's DeMarcus Riddick. Athletically gifted, just talent at the linebacker position. He is fast. He is strong. He is an athletic freak, if you will. It's very emergence of one Harrison Tarr's favorite Auburn player of all time, Owen Papo, just a little bit taller
Unashamedly,
than OP.
my favorite player of all time.
OP is, of course, starting in my Madden franchise that I have going on. More details to come later on. But, of course, DeMarcus Riddick, 4-star at Chilton County. He flipped from Georgia, or he either flipped from Georgia or he was like, I'm going to go Georgia. Never mind. I'll go to the good guys. And then he just balled out during the bowl game practices, and he's just been balling out throughout practices. And and I think, honestly, I don't want to spoil who your guy is, but the guy's been getting a lot of hype this offseason. And I honestly think that we're ignoring the fact that this defense picked up a lot of great talent in this class.
Sure. That's
and
because
Auburn, is like
Auburn's been yearning for offense.
Yeah.
And because offense is flashier. I mean, that's just the reality of things. Fair, right, wrong, or indifferent. I'll go ahead and roll in here, folks. You already know who I'm going to say based on all the context clues we've given. Alabama Mr. Football runner-up consensus 5-star 99 overall per 24/7 99 grade. Mr. Cam Coleman. And the real reason that I am going to be watching so intently is not because I think that A-Day lends itself to having a tremendous day for wide receivers. Dylan, you and I mentioned that before we went on the air. It's just all we've heard. All we have heard is how impressive Cam Coleman has been, how much he's plugged into this offense, how much he's sculpted his body in such a short period of time. I mean, this young man graduates high school in May. Fun fact. Just throwing that one out there. He will walk with his class. He's already graduated technically, but he'll walk with his class in May at Central Phoenix City. I think that Auburn fans are going to be upset if he doesn't at least touch the ball a couple times, because all we've heard is some of the freakish things that he can do on the practice field. Look, I'm not doubting that for a second. I think that Cam Coleman's a specimen, and I think he's got all the potential in the world to do some incredible things, play 3 years, and go play on Sundays. I think that that's in his bag, especially if he's in his bag.
Really
but
pray for that 4th year.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, you're gonna have a couple of really fun years with Walker White to Cam Coleman, by the way, and not just Cam Coleman. There's a slew here. I'm not naive.
Harry Thompson and Malcolm Simmons and Bryce Kane.
I'm not naive to that.
Dylan Gentry.
The name that we keep hearing floating around the most, Dylan, is Cam Coleman. You keep hearing great things about him in practice. Auburn fans are gonna be just flat out pissed if they don't see that on Saturday in person, because it's like when you go get a brand new car and you're like, I'm realistically going to drive this to work every day. So like, I'm not really going to be spending all of my time with this. And I really don't need to be spending a ton of time with it now, but I'm really proud of this new car. So I want to take everyone for a joyride. It's kind of one of those things. You know what I mean? You're like, I kind of want to show this off, my shiny new gadget, to all of my friends. And then that's where Auburn is at right now. And that's okay. It's good to be excited about a player like that. Just don't put Jeremy Johnson-esque expectations on him.
I mean, even if it's gonna be too hard to do that. That's already like the next coming of the greatest wide receiver of all time. This is Auburn's next 1,000-yard receiver. This is the next career leader in receiving yards in 3 years kind of guy. The hype's already there, but even like I think Auburn has to be sufficient if he did a fake wide receiver screen pass and just threw it to Cam Coleman and let him just throw it deep to like a Bryce Kane or a Robert Lewis or just someone down there. Like, imagine a Walker White gets in and throws a screen pass to Cam Coleman, and Cam Coleman throws a fader out in the end zone to Roberto Fairweather. Yeah, Auburn fans, that's all. Auburn fans would leave after that. That's all they need. That's all they need to see. That's
it. That would be fine.
But yeah, I would want to see maybe I want to say at least 5 targets. Like I don't want to overuse someone in a spring game for sheer hope of them not getting hit the wrong way. Because to a certain extent, this is the first couple of times they're gonna be hitting each other, really
Also, like you don't. It is criminally unfair, and it's going to happen regardless. I acknowledge this, but it is criminally unfair to champion one player as a silver bullet because there are phenomenal football players at every school in Division One. You cannot look and say this one person is going to be the savior of Auburn football. You had that one time, and that is unbelievably uncommon. And no,
he was an alien.
well, Cam Newton was a silver bullet. Like he was this is what you tell everyone. This guy's going to fix everything, and he did. Like, but that doesn't. Those things don't just happen. That is a perfect storm. For those of you guys who aren't going to take offense to this, that is an act of God. Like that just doesn't happen. So you can't champion someone as this guy is going to by himself, save the entire program. That's not how that works. But he can certainly be a piece that does that. So I'm really, really excited for Cam Coleman. I know you're really, really excited for DeMarcus Riddick. And some Auburn fans probably pretty excited about a new crystal ball prediction of a 4-star offensive tackle. Talk to me, Dylan.
Yeah, as I said earlier, talking about the offensive line play that Auburn has suffered trying to figure out any kind of competency regarding that position group. Auburn received a crystal ball from Steve Wiltfong, who is now with On3. Meaning I now trust at least one On3 recruiting source when it comes to predictions because he is coming from 124/7 Sports. But Broderick Scholl is the guy out of Bixby, Oklahoma. He is a class 2025. He's a composite 4-star per 24/7 Sports. He is 6'5", 275, and he is a great lead blocker. There was a lot of clips I saw where he just ran over whoever was his way, and that's one of my favorite highlights to watch happen because I love the big boys up front, the big sexies, the big uglies, if you will, and watching them just demolish a linebacker in front of them just to for the running back get 7 more yards is just the best clip ever. And I saw 4 of those just watching his highlights, and of course you can't get a lot from highlights. I don't trust people who just analyze just the highlights of a thing. But from what I've seen, the high points of Broderick Scholl is a guy who is going to get right in front of your running back and is going to bulldoze whoever is in his way. And it'd be awesome because if Auburn were to get him, that'd be the 4th offensive lineman that I can name off the top of my head or think of. Maybe I'm wrong, potentially wrong. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4th offensive lineman in the class.
I think it is 4, dude. I'd give yourself a little credit.
Yeah, it takes a psychopath to know to memorize the positions that are being recruited. The heaviest.
It does.
But yeah, it'd be huge if Auburn were to pick up Broderick Scholl, and it'd be also huge if Auburn were to pick up Alvin Henderson, who yesterday during April Fool's Day decided to fool me because he out of nowhere at 11 o'clock a.m. said he was committing at 12 o'clock p.m. So while I was working, I had to scramble to find pictures of him to use.
Stupid holiday.
And get a graphic made. And then 12 o'clock was I was like, oh, well, it's gonna be a few more days.
I hate that. I hate April Fool's Day so much.
A-Train, I want you in an Auburn jersey so bad. Please don't do that to me ever again.
Yeah. I hate April Fool's Day, so I digress. I think it's the dumbest thing ever, especially when it comes to when you follow recruiting. Like, what in the world is happening right now?
Being a sports fan and then having I like April Fool's Day because I'm a guy I like to joke around people, but I'm also not posting ooh, LeBron James just announced his retirement at the end of the season kind of posts or saying I don't know someone from Auburn is transferring or something stupid along those lines. That's gonna get people in
the only stuff I like on April Fool's Day before I transition into our ad reads and we roll over to more Auburn spring sports. Is I enjoy the posts that are clearly objectively horribly masked to be April Fool's Day. PGA had a great one today and it was labeled the golf shots of all time. Not the greatest, but the golf shots of all time. And they were all really shitty edits of people hitting horrible shank drives and the ball going in like a hole in one. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. But I like really obviously fake stuff like FAU.
That pissed me off.
That was not good AI either. That was not good AI.
I was so mad, dude. Because I want that to happen so bad.
The football game on an aircraft carrier.
Yes, it'd be awesome.
It would be awesome. But I stuff like that I don't mind.
Well, but the
Friend of the
Idaho Vandals football say that the Kibby Dome's gonna be in NCAA 25
yeah,
or the
like
Pop Tarts Bowl.
yeah, right. Yes, exactly. Like I had a friend of the program tweeted back at me earlier when I said how much yesterday as we're recording this, and yeah, obviously on April Fool's Day, I tweeted that it's the dumbest holiday of the year and that I couldn't stand going online during this, and he said, "Yes, agreed. I just saw a Clint Capella extension tweet and had a heart attack," which is facts, bro. Don't need that in my life whatsoever. Not even funny, like just not funny. So I
Can't hear
digress.
you from first seed in the West.
In conclusion, it's 8-day week and April Fool's Day sucks. So let's roll over and remind everybody before we talk about Auburn Diamond Sports baseball and softball. Woo, can't wait. We're actually going to headline the next half briefly with equestrian, Dylan, just because flowers are due. But I want to remind everybody, if you're hanging out with us here on the YouTube channel, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here at the College Loop YouTube so we can continue to grow the Looper family. Give us your feedback. Tell us who you're most excited to watch. If you're going to be in town on A-Day for during Saturday, or if you're going to be there throughout the weekend, maybe checking out Auburn taking on number 4 Tennessee. Auburn baseball definitely got its work cut out for it ahead of as they continue to grind through this SEC gauntlet, if you will. Let us know where you're at, what you're most excited to be back on the plains for. If you're meeting up with college friends or meeting up with old Auburn family members, make sure that you enjoy some quality time with them. Let us know where you're going to be hanging out. If you're hanging out with us on a streaming platform, thank you guys so much. We sincerely appreciate that. It is not lost on us how much bigger our reach is getting because of you guys. You guys are the reasons. Make sure you give us a 5-star, thumbs up, whatever the highest review possible is on your platform of choice, and share the show with a friend so we can continue to grow this family. It's like I said, guys, not lost on us. Your support is unbelievable, and we did this for fun. We did this for us, and you guys just happened to jump on the wagon, and it put such a big smile on our face. If you want to continue to support the show and ways to go beyond just like, subscribe, and ring the bell, you can head over to thewarreport.com. Pick up your very own College Loop Podcast, War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Feel and Loopy t-shirt. Comes in 5 different colorways, only on sale at thewarreport.com for $25. Make sure you go pick that up. Once again, that's an exclusive only at thewarreport.com. Once you pick up your very own Feel and Loopy shirt, use hashtag Feel and Loopy. That's feeling without the G on whatever social media platform makes you the happiest. Send us a selfie, tag us in it, and show off your new College Loop merch, Feel and Loopy t-shirt. We'll throw it up on the next show or stream. Thank you guys once again for your love and support. Love every single one of you. Mean it. Let's jump in to a dynasty. I'm not, you laugh. A true dynasty in Auburn equestrian, picking up their 6th consecutive SEC championship, which, for the record, SEC nothing to sneeze at in the equestrian realm. You've got a lot of talented programs. Texas A&M comes to mind immediately. A lot of very good UGA. A lot of great programs that have had historical success right there on your doorstep, and Auburn continues to defend their title. 6 consecutive runs, Dylan. And I wanted to give those ladies their flowers, but I also wanted to ponder this thought. I don't think Auburn fans will ever see success like this again in any sport. Enjoy it while you've got it. And equestrian set up for a very long time. And this program is built on the platform of longevity. This is historical. And these things don't just happen overnight. I know this is what everybody wants. You want your team to win every single day, every single night. And those of you guys who kind of tune in just for Auburn football, Auburn basketball are like, oh, why not me? Trust me, there's a lot of people in that boat. But this is it is becoming just jaw-droppingly, it's just staggering how dominant this program is. And even in a year where it didn't feel like Auburn was dominating opponents all year throughout the equestrian season, and they weren't, still pulling it together and winning an SEC title. I mean, there have been 2 consecutive classes of seniors graduated that never lost an SEC championship. That is something to think about. That is a real statement. Dylan, this is unprecedented.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it kind of hurts that you said that because Auburn fans might never ever see a sport win that much.
A lot of fans of teams all over the world, not just in college, will never experience that.
I mean, even Alabama in their height of football never won 6 SEC championships in a row. And that was like what people strive to get in the football realm and like every other sport. I mean, of course, you probably get like the Kentuckys of the world who were the only good SEC basketball team for 50 years
Sure.
until they finally until SEC was like, oh, wait, we can recruit. But yeah, it's crazy because you went from Greg Williams. Am I saying, is it Greg Williams? I'm Greg something. Okay, I was about to say Greg Olson. So you went from a known equestrian legend, Greg Olson, but he went from one great coach to another one, and you never missed a beat when it came down to the nit and gritty, and got an SC championship. Gonna have another chance to compete for another national championship. And honestly, I wish I liked watching equestrian more than I do, just because my girlfriend loves it. Lauren loves it to death, and I wish I loved it as much as she did, because I would love to go watch just how dominant they are. And I've told her before. I was like, hey, if you want, I'll buy you a ticket if you want to go cover it for the loop and be like, get a just do cover the sport for the brand kind of things. But it's just awesome to know that, and not only is like whenever Auburn fans see that they are being this dominant, because I think out of Auburn's like not non-major sports to the public eye, when they see equestrian, like, oh, we're good at that. We're a horse school. There's nothing like, I mean, because volleyball I feel like deserves a lot more attention than it does as well. Like it's like sports like that are like, because volleyball is like on pace to be dominant right now.
Sure.
They're about to start their spring season, and I know they started the next exhibition I think last.
And Auburn soccer was a force to be reckoned with for a very long time.
Exactly, and it's fun knowing that even when the majority of Auburn fans aren't following that sport like they do like football, basketball, baseball, softball, whenever they see the success and they see it, they're like, oh, we're so back. We're what even is an elephant, dude? Like, what even is a football? We only like get on Mustangs and ride off to the sunset to another SEC title. Like, what are we doing over here?
Hey, I don't want to. Like I said, we don't want to. That's probably beat a dead horse. Is probably not the right saying here, but
Hear me out. Just for one meet, this mow the grass of Jordan Stadium, and let's turn it into an equestrian stadium.
you have to throw a bunch of dirt down, but I'm down. Like that would be so. It would sell out.
I think it would, because
it would.
I don't feel like the tickets would be that expensive, and it would do like I don't even know what the record would be for that. But like I'm thinking about like Nebraska, how they broke a record for most people to go to a volleyball game because they played the volleyball game inside Cornhusker Stadium, whatever it's called, for volleyball. Now imagine if Auburn started doing that for other sports alongside like volleyball or equestrian. I would say gymnastics, but also like let's not do gymnastics outside, because I.
On a real note, what are they doing with Beard Eves? Like
it's a classroom building, dude.
I'm just saying, like you can do that indoors, like no problem. I just don't know if you.
I know that.
I don't know the actual square footage required for that. I'd imagine it would be really tight to do that.
I'm gonna look up the largest attendance at equestrian event.
But that's something to explore. Just throwing that out there in the Auburn verse. As we continue to move forward, congratulations to Auburn Equestrian. Second straight year of seniors that have just never not won an SEC championship, which is impossible for me to wrap my brain around. And in the midst of a true dynasty, really, really, really proud of them. Let's roll into other teams that Auburn, competes in. Starting with Auburn baseball. Dylan, I'm going to be transparent. I've got the UAB stats here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and prep everybody for this evening's clash. I got bumped up to 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern time. But before I do that, guys, I don't even know if it's worth talking about the A&M series. I don't know that it's worth talking about right now. You get swept and you play 2 out of the 3 games really close. Friday, it felt like you had a real chance. Saturday, you go into extras. And we mentioned this about basketball earlier in the year, how that team is learning how to win in different ways. This Auburn baseball team is learning how to lose in different ways. They have now dropped to a staggering 1-8 in the conference, and it's going to take some real Plainsman Park magic coming down the stretch to get themselves back in contention, because your schedule just simply doesn't get that much easier. You got to play host to Tennessee this weekend, then you get a nice Alabama State break in the middle of next week, then you got to host Kentucky, you got to host Georgia Tech, you got to head to Starkville, take on Mississippi State, who's decided they're good again, LSU, Ole Miss, and then you get Missouri, and then you got to play Alabama. Guys, the outlook is grim for Auburn baseball right now. I'm just going to be transparent. I'm not telling you to press the panic button, but I'm not telling you not to, because I do think this team's got a lot of talent. It's got a lot of pieces. I just don't think they have a freaking clue how to play together. And I think that the lack of consistency of being able to pick each other up in times when you really have to, we're seeing a lot of the fought to the end tweets. And there's really not much you can say about it other than when the pitching's on, the offense is silent. When the offense is on, the pitching is getting rocked. And even when you find yourself ways to get competitive, you're making silly mistakes. You're not taking good ABs. You're not getting deep into pitch counts. You're not working your opponent. This team's hard to watch right now, and things aren't going to get better when we get over to softball. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut to the chase here and talk about Auburn's midweek clash this afternoon in Birmingham, Alabama, taking on the 12-15 UAB Blazers, a team that, I mean, they kind of just get picked off of every single offseason because they'll be up and down and have a couple of pretty solid standouts that'll go get picked up in the transfer portal. And they don't do a ton of really, really impressive things. They've hit 18 deep balls to the point this year, to this point in the year, and have allowed 32 to opponents. They're a team average 240 to opponents 269. Their OPS is 711 to an opponent 793. And then when you look over at their bullpen, well, they got 3 guys that can go solid innings. And then after that is a staunch drop-off. You've got 6 guys sub-4 ERA. You've got one young man in Blaze Berry, which is an amazing name, by the way. Pitching
you are an Auburn Tiger.
Yeah, facts. Pitching to a 2-3-4 who you won't see in the midweek more than likely. I've not yet seen UAB's starters announced. If I missed that, Dylan, my apologies. But the team ERA is a 5.76. If you can get to the back end of their bullpen, they're getting lit up like a Christmas tree. And Auburn needs to capitalize there. But the double-edged side of that sword is that Auburn's bullpen's got to not get lit up like a Christmas tree too. And they're not getting absolutely nuked on, but they're not exactly helping themselves out and putting themselves in position to actually be successful. It's not that I don't think Auburn can beat UAB this afternoon. I wholeheartedly expect them to. But it's kind of hard to get jazzed when you're just getting your ass whooped on a routine basis on the weekends. And I fear, Dylan, this is my last sentiment on baseball. I'll let you cook however you want, and then I'm going to let you roll softball. I fear Auburn's going to get their ass whooped at home this weekend when number 4 Tennessee comes to town. But they're always entertaining games. I will be there. I don't know, man. I'm nervous. I'm very, very cautiously pessimistic now about Auburn baseball.
Yeah, it's hard because, of course, you have to play the number 8 team in the country, then you play number 1 team in the country, you play the number 4 team in the country, then turn around and play the number 4 team in the country again. The SEC is just loaded at baseball. And of course, Auburn is a top 25 team. And that I would
I don't know that I agree with that anymore.
Well, what do you expect? Do you expect like the 25th ranked team to beat the number 1 ranked team?
I expect them to be routinely competitive and putting themselves in positions to actually win ball games on a more routine basis than they are.
Well, since the Vanderbilt series, which had like some of the worst losses of the season thus far, Auburn has lost by, and let me just go in order of going from Arkansas to A&M. 1, 1, 2, 2, 4, 1.
You got to be able to close out games, though. I am. That's justified reason to be concerned.
But that is something that can be fixed over time. It's just Auburn has such a brutal schedule that it's hard to mesh together whenever you don't have if Missouri was this weekend or one of the other bottom teams in the SEC, which there aren't a lot of those, might I say that. If you had one of those and give Auburn a weekend to kind of get right after losing a series, that would be so beneficial to the team trying to get right. Sure. And of course, you got to figure out the bullpen. Right now, your midweek guys are performing a lot better than your weekend guys are. And that's just how that happens, apparently, this season. I don't feel confident in Tennessee. I feel confident in UAB. I feel confident in the midweeks. Of course, you know more about Georgia Tech than I do, but Auburn plays them twice this year, and I think you're pretty high on the fact that Auburn might not beat Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech's it's the real deal. And
But
that's not. I want to remind everybody, I will be rooting for Auburn. I just think Georgia Tech is the real deal. And except for they struggled against Georgia, but Georgia's also a hell of a lot better than we thought they were. So I really don't know.
And it'd be interesting to see how the season progresses, because if Auburn can just, because I'm trying to figure out how exactly the regional seedings work, because I feel like Auburn has enough talent and competes enough to be like, well, maybe. I don't know if the wins will be there.
No,
That's my
won't
issue.
be. They won't be.
Because I don't know, Kentucky, Missouri might. I think I'll give Auburn wins for those. But Tennessee is just tough. Mississippi State decides to only be good during even years. LSU is now a powerhouse. Ole Miss is. I don't even know if Ole Miss is good this year or not. I don't. I have their.
Ole Miss doesn't know if Ole Miss is good or not.
So at least 3 series is I can kind of put like Auburn can win this one.
Yeah.
I just wish that those 3 series were not in unison. I wish it was not, I wish it wasn't, Kentucky, Mississippi State, LSU, Ole Miss, then Missouri, then Alabama. I wish it was like Texas A&M, Missouri, Tennessee.
Counterpoint, let the boys get hot.
I mean, yeah. But what side are you on?
Yeah, good point.
You're gonna fix things. You need those cupcake weeks. It's like you need to play like a Alabama A&M your second game of the year or your first game of the year kind of thing for football. Like you need to play those non-cons for basketball, and you need those and you do those little stupid midweeks in the middle of those. Like you need like that. You need that Sanford between Georgia and South Carolina, because it's like it helps you get right. You get fresh legs. You see what you got. You try out different things. That's what you need. I just hate that the schedule was put away, and then of course the schedule was made before we knew all these teams were just cracked out of their minds. So that there's no really helping there. But petition to flip Auburn schedule around.
Mid-season.
Bring in the rain, just bring in the rain.
Mid-season. Speaking of brutal schedules, what do you want to say about softball?
They broke
Won a game.
They broke the longest win streak in college softball as they beat Tennessee on Sunday, 4-1. This team always finds weird ways to win the last game of a series where they've already lost the series. They did so behind one of them being a fielding error that got KK McCrary and McNamara over the plate. And then you had Nelia Peralta triple, which got Michaela Packer in, which scored her 100th career run. So huge shout out to Michaela Packer. She's one of the best of all time. I think she's second in triples and second in stolen bases. So shout out to her for balling out and scoring on her weekend. And then lastly, Amelia Larck doubled to left center and got I can't figure out Abby Smith. There we go. I was like, Abby Smith over. But day 1 of that series was a 5-1 loss. Day 2 of that series was an 8-4 loss. So yeah, still not going super well. I would venture to say bad, because Auburn is 3-9 in conference play. Auburn's currently in a coaching search. That's what's going on. I'm not expecting the world out of this team. I don't expect a complete turnaround now that it's like, oh, we got to prove ourselves now because Mickey Dean is out after this year. He retired. Air quotes mentioned. You're not. Don't expect a lot of wins, a lot of winning this year. Because it's not what this year's about now. This year is about just getting to the finish line and maybe looking respectable while doing so. And that's what happens whenever a coach kind of gets canned mid-year.
Yep.
You're just kind of like, oh, well, shucks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, try to win, but don't be upset because, this year is like null and void. It's like this year will forever have an asterisk on it. To Auburn fans, because it's going to be okay.
That was the year Mickey was on his way out.
Yeah, that was the year that Auburn fans were wanting this guy out, like after the first loss of the season, and especially after a couple of transfers out, and by couple I mean 5. That's neither here nor there. But Auburn does have a midweek this week. That's probably going to help them out for the War Eagle Classic that happens this weekend, where Auburn's going to be playing Louisiana Tech and Georgia Tech over a course of Friday and Saturday. But they do play Stanford on Taylor Swift night. So all you Swifties out there, there you go.
Final score will be 19-89.
I hate you. But yeah. Yeah. Stanford, not a very good softball team this year. Currently 9-24.
Right, bad.
Yeah, very bad. Very bad. Their best the best batting average on the team is a 3.36. And then it dwindles from there. Their pitchers are currently giving up 4 points. Their average ERA is 4.56. That's because you're getting a 4.14, 4.24, a 5.25, and a 5.10.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. You don't typically want that if you're a Stanford Bulldog fan. But if you're a struggling Auburn team that is struggling to get consistent bats, you are overjoyed by potentially getting a nice little a batting practice with an audience kind of deal.
Right.
So that's what you're looking forward to at that game. Of course, support the girls. They all, even if you're the biggest fan of Nikki Dean, this
doesn't matter anymore. So
yeah, you're there to support the players, because at the end of the day, you want some of them to kind of not transfer out this year, and that'll be the job of the next upcoming coach, to not allow all of the power hitters to transfer out in the offseason. Neither here nor there again. But yeah, Auburn doesn't have to see the SEC team until next weekend when they play LSU in Baton Rouge. But yeah, batting practice against Stanford. Use that to your best advantage, because this is a rough season. Very, very rough season. I will say it's not going to be a rough year for what looks like. I'm looking at the College Loop March Madness challenges at this point. Ryan Peoples looks like he is going to be winning the women's bracket, unless Sean Atch has anything to say about it. Tar, I will say you have now jumped me from. I was third. Now I am fourth because you jumped me, because UConn beat USC, and I had Juju Watkins going to the Final Four. And then for the men's bracket challenge, currently in first place is, of course, Emily Ellis, friend of the program. Words are hard, but she currently has 70 points with no points remaining. Behind her is Jose Gonzalez and Billy Nash with 62 points each having 48 points remaining. So Tar, you might be paying for a couple more rounds of golf. But yeah, those are currently the leaders for that. For that, I will say I am way ahead of Tar in the men's bracket challenge. Tar has 53 points. I have 58 points. So way ahead.
Life happens. Thank you guys so much for playing with us and joining in on the bracket challenge. It was a ton of fun this year. Really, really looking forward to continuing things like that. I will have a Masters pool coming up next week. Really, really excited about that. We'll talk about that. I'll talk about that here in just a second. Before I do that, wrapping things up here, Dylan. Want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today on the College League Podcast. Happy 8-day week to those who celebrate. The weather's getting super, super nice. Knock on wood. It stays that way. I think we're going to get a little bit of rain before we get there. Knock the pollen off. It's perfect. That's exactly what the doctor ordered. So really, really excited to see everybody on Saturday. See all of your beautiful faces wearing orange and blue, cheering on the Auburn Tigers. And want to make sure before we get there that you guys like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the College League Podcast channel on YouTube. That's the number one way you can support the show. If you're listening on a streaming platform, thank you guys so much. Give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating is on your streaming platform of choice. I promise you guys that is the biggest help in the world. It's not lost on us, and we appreciate it. Give us your comments. Give us your feedback. Tweet at us. Tell us what you want to hear. Mailbag is an open invite at all times. If you guys ever have questions, make sure you tweet at me, tweet at Dylan, tweet at the account. One of us will see it, and we'll make sure we address it on the show. You guys are the reason we're able to continue to create content here. If you want to support us beyond just like, subscribe, and ring the bell, you can head over to thewarreport.com, pick up your very own College Loop Podcast, War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Feelin' Loopy t-shirt. Comes in 5 different colorways, $25, only available at thewarreport.com. Once you pick up your shirt, make sure you use hashtag Feelin' Loopy. That's Feelin' without the G. On your favorite social media platform, send us a selfie of you wearing your shirt, tag the show in it, and we'll throw it up on the next stream. Thank you guys for your continual love and support. I am Harrison Tarr, at by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app, at by Harrison Tarr on Instagram, and at Tar_15 on TikTok if you want to go check out some golf content. Just now soft launching at That's One_Golf. That is my new golf channel with a couple of my buddies. We're making some pretty dumb golf content, having a ton of fun doing it. If you guys are also golfers, please give us your feedback. Tell me how to fix my swing. It's so broken, but we'd love to have you come and hang out with us as we make some goofy golf content. Give us your feedback there too, and let us know what you want to see. Dylan, I'll let you plug yourself, plug your stuff, and let's get out of here and let's have a Tuesday. Let's have a Tuesday.
Let's have a Tuesday. Just a Tuesday. Good Lord. But of course, I'm Dylan Larck. I boy take on Twitter. Also, I'm on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck at DYLANLARCK. Visual aids right over there. Also, you can find me on the War Report Gaming channel, where I have a nice little gaming content coming up with you very, very soon. I currently have 2 videos up on that channel, ranking my top 10 quarterbacks and top 10 running backs based on how I think they're going to be rated in EA College Sports 2025. I'm still in the process of recording July.
Per Herb Street.
Per Herb Street on April Fool's Day. Hopefully not a joke, but per July. Even though we pretty much all assumed it was July.
Yeah, but I feel like that was not an April Fool's. Continue. I feel great about that.
I believe him, but also like he said it on the wrong day for me to feel like, yeah. But of course, I have other content that's coming out very, very soon. You can find me literally everywhere else at your boy the Tank, of course, on TikTok and Tank Talks Football on YouTube because I want to start getting into that. But I also need film to watch, i.e., the spring games, which are not televised. So if you want me to talk about anything in particular, I will talk about it. I'm currently, I have a script made and content made for explaining what happened to Vanderbilt football and why a potential powerhouse vanished before our eyes. But of course, with all that being said, thank you all for tuning in. War Eagle and Tar.
Love you guys.
There it is.